Josh, thanks for being here tonight.
Hey, Alex, nice to be with you again.
What was it like in that courtroom? I mean, I read the reporting, some limited transcription of what came to pass. Did it feel like Judge Dearie was issuing a brushback to the Trump legal team? It sounds like that in the sort of written version of this, but what was the mood like in the courtroom?
Well, it was very cordial. I mean, he's not a judge who raises his voice, a great deal. But from the very outset, like the first few minutes of this 40-minute hearing, it was pretty clear that the judge was trying to send the Trump team a message, as you say, a real heater or brushback pitch by saying, if you guys want to pursue some litigation strategy here, that's fine, but I'm not going to allow it to delay this proceeding. And it was that kind of tone that we heard from him. Again and again, he'd let the Trump lawyers have their say, and then he'd come back with some kind of rejoinder, most of those episodes that you've just covered. So there was no question that there was a bit of tension and dancing around there. It seemed like the Trump lawyers and the judge, I wouldn't say it was oil and water, but they were not fully in sync. They weren't on the same wavelength.
Well, clearly not, right? Because he keeps offering them this opportunity to say what was declassified, and they keep saying, "Oh, we can't put that cart before the horse. We're going to deal with that later after we've had a chance to review all these documents."
Well, that's in keeping with a sort of standard defense attorney strategy, right? Which is that you look for opportunities to delay because you don't want your client to face the music right away. And you look for opportunities to keep your options open. And that's really the issue. I mean, Trump's already gone on Twitter and said this was all declassified, and he can do that as much as he wants, right? But the moment he signs a declaration under oath saying it was declassified, if somebody steps forward and says something he said there isn't true, he's just handed DOJ yet another charge they could file against him. So the judge was saying here to Trump's lawyers, look, if that's your strategy, that's fine, but we're not going to allow that to derail this proceeding. They're not going to be able to get, it sounds like, even access to the classified information unless Trump comes forward or someone else, maybe one of Trump's aides like Kash Patel or someone like that, wants to sign a sworn declaration saying that in his presence, Trump said that these documents were declassified. How he would know that they're the same as the 100 documents down in Mar-a-Lago, I don't know how anybody outside the DOJ could know that.
Well, it sounds like Trump's team does not know what the classified documents are, right? They've said repeatedly in the courtroom today, we don't have an index of what was in those boxes. We're not sure, which is why we need to review them. But that's also telling, because in order to have declassified anything, you would need to know what the documents were, right?
Well, you would think so, although Trump is putting forward this very, very broad argument, right, that there's some implicit declassification, that he was, if you will, so cavalier and careless in the way he handled documents in the White House and perhaps even down at Mar-a-Lago that he took things up to the Lincoln bedroom. He left them strewn around the East Wing of the White House. He took them down to Mar-a-Lago and left them strewn around there. And those were somehow implicitly declassified. I think that's the broadest Trump argument. And maybe they think they can level that somewhere and get some traction for it. But the judge said in this proceeding, it's not a criminal case where the government has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden is on Trump's lawyers to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that this stuff wasn't classified, if that is indeed a critical, issue that's in contention in this case.
And until and unless they do that, he's going to presume that they are classified. I mean, I thought it was really interesting. A, he's not going to let them have access to the documents as they desperately want. And B, he himself doesn't want to look at the documents, right? That's how seriously he's treating the government's claims of classification.
He seems to be leaving open the possibility that if Trump's side doesn't come forward with something concrete beyond some tweets in the course of the next few weeks, that he may say, I'm going to take the government's word for it, and I'm just going to assume whatever they say about these classified documents is true. I think there are other arguments still the Trump team can put forward, and they started to put forward today, that maybe some of the documents are classified but personal, sort of bizarre arguments like that. And they started talking about those things in court that they could do without contesting the classification issue right now. And, the question is, do they want to close down Trump's options if he is charged eventually, like I said, by having him sign something or even having his defense team commit to a strategy of saying, these number of documents were declassified?
Well, the strategy seems muddled at best right now. One thing that you highlight is the fact that delay seems to be a sort of foundational principle here. And what I noticed in the reporting on what happened in the courtroom is at every turn, whether it's the time frame in which the documents can be scanned by a third-party vendor or choosing the third-party vendor, every stage of this Trump's team is asking for more time. They say, we want to take baby steps in all of this.
Right. And even the request to get clearance to look at the classified documents, that too consumes time. They have to get permission from different agencies. It sounds like only one member of Trump's team has a top secret clearance right now, and they would need additional clearances. So the more this gets jumbled together, that too extends the time. The judge down in Florida has already said that she wants this process completed by the end of November. But realistically, then issues will be raised with her. Anything Dearie decides can be appealed to the judge down in Florida. And we already have issues pending at the 11th Circuit. So the notion that this is going to be resolved anytime in the next couple of months, I think, is kind of a fantasy. And it does seem like the Trump team, even though they're saying they're not seeking delay, as you say, in each instance, they're requesting a somewhat longer time frame than the government for the exact same stuff.
It's piecemeal bargaining, right? We're talking about days, weeks, but it all adds up.